Hey, it's Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid, and I have issue number 39 of Transformers. Fort Max gets the shaft. Alright, this is an interesting one. Spike has now joined with the Autobot headmasters, and he is now part of that group. He's actually kind of technically the leader of that group, because he took over for Galen, who sacrificed himself in the last issue. We start off this issue with Buster Witwicky, and he is on a desert island, could all but be a desert island, and he is there, the desert island of space. And so Buster Witwicky, he's not doing too good. He's on this island, and it is the Decepticon island. So the Decepticons that they have here are Shockwave and Ratbat, and they are, they're debating on to the importance of having Buster on the island there. And Ratbat is constantly complaining that it's using fuel to take care of him. They bring him this big giant fish, and he's like, I don't like sushi. And so Shockwave just poaches the entire water right in front of them there, and gives him a whole bunch of poached fish that he could just gnaw on. Yeah, it sucks to be Buster Witwicky right now, and the reason why they're keeping Buster Witwicky on the island is because there's a whole armada of Earth vessels off the island who they're not going to fire if there's one human on the island. So they're not going to, they're not going to trash the island, and that'll give them time to work on what they're working on the island or below the island. We'll see. So on the aircraft carrier, we've got Mr. Forsyth, and he's looking at the robots there, and on comes Walter Barnett. He's carrying that suitcase. Walter Barnett, as we know from issue number 37 and 36, he saved the Throttlebots and Goldbug from being destroyed by the III and Rat. What he did is he put their brains into toy cars, and then they were attacked at a mall in issue number 37 by the Predacons and Ratbat, but suddenly they disappeared, and that was because Ratbat had captured Buster. And we find out that because Ratbat captured Buster, the rest of the Predacons called off their attack, and Forsyth was able to collect the 6 Throttlebots. And they're about to launch an attack, and Forsyth sees that there's Buster on the island, and he tells them to stop the attack, and which is exactly the plan of Shockwave. That was Shockwave's plan all along. Keep the keep this human there, and then the other humans won't attack. So that's really smart on Shockwave's part, because he is logical. So we get this back and forth between Shockwave and Ratbat. Now Ratbat's just like a bean counter, but he's very ruthless, and Shockwave is this logical, very mechanical, very little to do with any sort of emotion at all. So these two are between each other, they're really good adversaries. We cut back over to Portland, and at Portland, it's 5:30 in the morning at the Cascade Vista Motel. Sparkplug Witwicky's living there because his house was trashed in issue number 37. We saw that in issue number 38. We also saw the return of his son, Spike, and that was the first issue where Spike had become part of the story here. And so there's a call from Walter Barnett talking with Sparkplug, telling him that Buster, we know where Buster is, but they're not going to tell him where he is. And Spike's standing there, and he's kind of got like this overcoat on, and he tells his father, keep him on the line, and he's going to, as he's keeping him on the line, he's holding the wire and he's tracing the call. And he tells his dad, he underwent bioengineering and became a headmaster. I don't think that's going to sit very well with Sparkplug. He can't believe that, you know, his house has been trashed, his son has been taken, now his other son has now become, you know, kind of a freak. And you know, Spike calls to the Autobots out in the woods behind the motel, and down comes the headless Fortress Maximus and the headless Cerebros. So they come down out of the woods, and Spike transforms into the head of Cerebros, and once again transforms into the head of Fortress Maximus. And you know, Sparkplug just can't believe this at all. You know, this is a lot to take for our dad, who's just lost one son, and now this other son is become part machine. You know, it's a lot to take in. The rest of the headmasters are not there. Instead, the target masters get some time here, and we get Hot Rod and Blurr and Cup and Crossfire and Sureshot. All those guys come down, and Point Blank. So all 6 of the Autobot target masters come through, along with their various Nebulan. See, I'm doing it too. Their Nebulan counterparts. So we'll see here. I'll show you in a sec. But Peacemaker turns into Point Blank's weapon. Spoilsport turns into Sureshots. Pinpointer turns into Crosshairs. Sparks turns into Hot Rods. Haywire into Blurs, and Recoil into Cups. So that actually gets spelled out for you right there, and they turn into the weapons of the target masters. So the target masters is like, you know, hey, we gotta go. We gotta get over there and fight the Decepticons, and you know, Cup is really giving Spike and Fortress Maximus a hard time. He's saying, you know, he's kind of whispering, this Spike is too sentimental, and war is no place for sentiment. And one of the other guys, which I forget who he is, because some of these other folks there, I think it's Point Blank. Yeah, Point Blank says, but he replaced Galen, our former leader. And Cup says, he'll lead us straight to the junkyard if we let him. So, you know, Cup is an old grizzled warrior. He is not, you know, he doesn't want this young kid to be leading him right now. And so off they fly in a shuttle that comes down from the ship that pulls up and grabs them. He tells Sparkplug that he'll rescue his brother, and he calls him father, but he also calls him, you know, I'll rescue Buster Witwicky. Farewell Sparkplug Witwicky, farewell father. So, you know, the mind has been binary bonded to Cerebros and to Fortress Maximus, so, you know, he still has part of him being human and then also being, you know, part robot. So we go back to Florida Keys, and there we see the ship come flying in, and Forsyth wants to shoot it down, but one of the throttle bots, I think it's Rollbar, let's see, yeah, Rollbar. Rollbar tells him, you know, that's an Autobot insignia, don't shoot it down, and so they don't. The Autobot ship lands where Buster is. They come onto the land, and Cup tells Fortress Maximus to stay behind, transform into battle-based mode, and, you know, give us cover from there. But you're not coming on the island. You're not coming on this mission. And as they're walking in, Buster realizes that the ground is, and things on the, like the leaves, are wired. It's not real. Everything on that island is fake. So they've created this fake island. The Decepticons have created this fake island. So the island is really, really fake, because look at it. There's the island on the top, and there's the base below it, and the base below it is actually, and we'll find out in a moment, it's actually a spaceship. And here are all the different Decepticons. They're down here, and you know, they're preparing for leaving. You got some of the Combaticons, you got some Insecticons. Let's see, looks most, yeah, Combaticons, Insecticons, Shockwave. You know, because still some of those guys are on the Ark. They're still in cold storage in the Ark. That's, you know. But as they're as the Autobots are walking on, Hot Rod says, "This operation is going smooth as polished silver, Cup." And then Cup says, "That's what we thought on Deneb 4, before the Decepticons almost washed away my entire platoon." So you got that Cup from the movie and the cartoon who's telling old war stories as things happen. And yeah, it's not going well because suddenly the island has defenses and the island starts attacking the Autobots. And it starts grabbing them and shooting them, so that the island's actually like springing up around them and attacking them. So we have the Autobots. They fall back. They're retreating, and Spike is there as Cerebros, and he's like, I'm gonna have to rescue Buster myself. He's sitting there, and he's like, I gotta go rescue my brother. And so he heads off to the island where the rest of the target masters are kind of in the soup, And suddenly, around the island is like a dome ends up around the island, and Buster's still on the island there because nobody got there to rescue him. And as the island's changing, it changes into a giant rocket. All right, so it's this giant rocket, and it takes off. And as it takes off, Fortress Maximus, he jumps over and flies over and grabs onto it as it's flying out into the air. And it's funny because at this point, the target master's like, he must be crazy, he'll be pulverized. And Hot Rod says to Cup, "You said sentiment would warp the human's judgment, Cup, and it did." And then Cup says, "Yes. But was it sentiment or guts?" And so he's kind of, he sees some guts in Spike, going after this rocket that's going off into space. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know if he can help in any way. But he went for it, and that is something that is kind of earned respect of Cup. So as the rocket starts, flying off into space, Buster kind of wakes up and he realizes that, the Earth, how did it get all the way down there? And inside the island, we have Ratbat and Shockwave. They're debating again, and they're saying that, despite the lack of adequate testing, all systems are operating well, Ratbat, except the velocity is less than expected. And they look out onto some of the cameras and they see that Fortress Maximus is there. And Ratbat says, that Autobot's weight is slowing us down. We'll fall back to Earth unless we rid ourselves of that pest. And Shockwave's like, that's illogical to even think of doing something like that. Why would an Autobot do that? And then he activates the defenses, and I guess the defenses are like this big giant fork that sticks into him, and he jumps out of the way there. And it actually launches him up high enough, and there's this rocket, and the rocket was in this palm tree, and the top opens. Buster doesn't go flying out anywhere, and the rocket just skewers Fortress Maximus. And in that time, Shockwave goes out to finish him off because they see that the head detaches, and he goes out to attack the head, which is Cerebros. And Cerebros just has enough rocket maneuverability to keep up with the island and get back to Buster. So he gets back to Buster, and meanwhile, Shockwave hits him with an energy blast. So he hits, he hits Cerebros with an energy blast. So Cerebros discharges his head, and there we got, Spike, and Spike lands towards the island. There, so he lands. No, he doesn't. He lands back on Fortress Maximus, and he uses his radio remote, and he fires a blast at Shockwave with Fortress Maximus. He hits him there. All right, and he hits him with that blast, and with that blast, Shockwave starts to fall away. Shockwave starts to fall away and burn up as he heads, as he enters the Earth's atmosphere. And Spike, he attempts to get to his brother, but he just can't. There's not enough that he can do. He can't keep up with it. and so he's got to leave his brother there with the Decepticons. Meanwhile, Ratbat, he kind of is very smug about this, and he says, "What a pity, falling to your doom, Shockwave. Precisely when I accelerated the vessel to leave the Earth's gravitational field as you ordered, and turning the vessel around to save you would endanger it, and that would be illogical." So, he kind of gets him at his own game, even though he doesn't, he's not hearing him or anything like that, but, that's basically what he's thinking. And so, Buster, he's still rocketing off with the Decepticons. Spike is floating in space. The shuttle comes up, gets him, collects him and Fortress Maximus, brings him into the ship, and back in the ship, all of the Autobots are, they can't believe what he did to try to save his brother. And Cup says, "And we all agree that someone as courageous, heroic, and caring as you deserves the same respect as any of us. Welcome aboard, Autobot." And so they, basically, they realize that he's one of them. He's a strong warrior, and he's going to be a good leader. So they accept him as an Autobot. Sorry about that. And yeah, that's issue number 39. We're getting to 40 and more. I may or may not do an actual comic book tomorrow. I might do something else. I haven't been feeling well, and so I'll try to get through this one, and hopefully I wasn't too feeling too bad. Anyway, this is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook as Big Damn Kid. You can also find me at BigDamnKid.com, where I write up every one of these issues and talk about more of what I think about it. I can be more introspective than just here off the cuff. So anyway, I appreciate that you watch. Please subscribe, and thanks very much.